Hey, welcome back to the channel. Got a little something on the bench for you here. So this is the HappyModel Crazybee F4FR Lite board. So this is Mobula6, and great amount of technology in this board. The only problem is it has a dipole, like a dipole style antenna coming up from the VTX, which is not going to work for racing. In racing, they want you to have a right or left hand polarized. So it needs to be a polarized antenna, and this little dipole here is not going to work. I have a video here that people have been sharing, and people have told me that it's helped them out a lot to get ready for racing, or whatever the case may be, to get their UFL connector put on their board. I believe with this board in particular, the Mobula6, I found a better way. I think I found an easier way to get that UFL on there. So that's what this video is about, so stay tuned. Alright, so the easier way, let me just show you a little bit the UFL here. I'm going to go ahead and put him up here so you can see, try to get the orientation correct. So I'll just set it right here on the OSD chip, and let me put this out of the way. So for example, I have my UFL connector, I have my antenna coming out the back. So this is qualifying for like the museum race, for example. I just got back from that. Man, was that an awesome event. 3 days of super fun flying quadcopters through the United States Air Force Museum, up through airplanes. Anyway, I have a video here. I'll try to remember to put a card there of the 3-day event. Super fun. So this is one of my race quads. So let me zoom in for you here real quick, and I'm just going to show you a little bit in case you're not aware. So on your UFL connector, you're going to have a ground pad on each side. You can see this new one here. You can kind of see on this side and on this side. That's a ground pad. Okay, and that barrel is the ground. The center part is your active element. Okay, so it's pretty important, because when you have your UFL connector from your antenna, okay, the center pin is your active element. I'm trying to hold this steady, this stuff is really small. So that active element needs to be insulated away from the ground, and then the ground will shield any RF trying to get in. The only part that's unshielded is up in here. So that unshielded area is set for 5.8 gig, and this here ground is shielding away, you know, any interference that would try to come in, or leaking, so your own transmission isn't leaking out all over the place. So that's what that's for, and that's why this is, in my mind, more superior than just soldering on your antenna, which is fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. I just find this more superior because it does have shielding all the way around. I've noticed that if you solder directly on, the active element part will be open and accepting other radiation, or it will broadcast some radiation out. So this seems to be the best, and that's why I chose to do it. And you can see right here in the center, this little trace is the active element. Okay, the issue that I find for this Mobula in particular is a pain to solder. Let me slide this down and tilt it just a little bit. See if you can see that. You see this tiny little tab right here? That's the trace sticking out past the white plastic. You have to put your soldering iron on there just long enough to flow the solder underneath. So the active element is underneath this connector, and it's such a pain to get to. So you'll solder on your grounds on both sides, and then you'll touch right here and not melting your plastic, that white plastic area. Try not to melt that, and to get that active element there, this trace, to solder and flow to the board is a pain. And I found out something recently that I thought was really interesting. Here's the underside of the board. Guess what? That's the active element. So my thought is, you can take and put a soldering iron on the back side of that board, and it will solder in and flow the center pin for you. So you don't have to come in here and melt that in and kind of guess whether or not it worked. So if you have your board upside down, and as soon as this solder here flows, it should be flowing on the other side. So on your connector, the only thing you're going to need to do, let me see if I get out of your way there. The only thing you're going to need to do is put some, I like to use this. This is a rosin paste flux. It's really great. Comes in this handy color. You're just going to put a very thin coating on that. And you're going to put a very thin coating on the other side. So once you have your grounds soldered on, let's see if I get that off of there. Once you have your grounds on each side soldered in, you should be able to hit it from the back side and solder your center pin. How cool is that? So let's just make sure I have my handy dandy, let me zoom out for you, handy dandy tester here. We're on continuity. Okay. So we're going to touch the center active element here on the back, and then the center pin, and it goes all the way through. If you touch the ground, nothing happens. So should work out pretty good, and I'm going to try that on the next one. Right now I don't have any to solder. All of my Mobula boards are done, and I don't need to do anything anymore. You know what? I hope this helped you out, and if it did, let me know in comments. If you've done it that way, it'd be great. And you know, if this video helped you out, you know, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you hated it, man, you give me a thumbs down. It all works. Enjoy the breeze.